In this program, you'll press a button to turn on a single pixel of the LED strip, and that pixel will clear if you release the button. Just like any time that we're using the LED strip, we need to include the ledstrip.h library. A library gives us access to a special set of functions that are specific to the LED strip. For example, the setPixel function, the draw function, and the clear function are all built into the ledstrip.h library. To allow our hardware to communicate to the library, we need to define a name for our LED strip, and I'm just using the name strip here. We also need to complete this function with 3 arguments. The first, how many pixels are on the LED strip? For us, that's 15. The second argument is which pin of the maker board is the green wire of the LED strip plugged into? That's 13. And the third argument is which pin of the maker board is the blue wire of the LED strip plugged into? For us, that's 12. Inside the void setup function, we're going to use the pin mode function to set port 6 as an input pull-up. And I'm going to add a comment here that says that's a button. So we're going to plug a button in there, and because the pin mode is input pull-up, the code is going to read this port and look for signals that it can use. Within the void loop, we have an if-else statement. And if you haven't tried the last 2 projects to get familiar with if statements, check those out so that you understand the structure as it gets more complicated. The if statement has 2 main parts, a condition between the parentheses and actions between the curly braces. So the condition here is if the digital reading of port 6 is low. We use these 2 equal signs to check if 2 things are equal, and so the code is going to check the reading from the port and ask, is it equal to low? And that means that the button is pressed. So if the button is pressed and the digital read of 6 is low, the code between these curly braces will run. That code is the setPixel function, which has 2 arguments. The first argument is which pixel on the LED strip do you want to light? Remember, we have 15 pixels, but they're numbered 0 to 14. So the 0 pixel is the pixel closest to the wires that are plugged into your maker board. The second argument of the setPixel function is the number that corresponds to a color value. This can range from 0 to 299. So here we're using a color value of 200 on the first pixel on the strip, pixel 0. Next, the strip.draw function is going to send that setPixel information out to the LED strip, and because there's no delay between these 2 functions, that's going to look like it happens instantly. The else statement is only going to run when the if statement condition is false. So, if the digital read of 6 is not equal to low, then the curly braces of the if statement are skipped over and the statements inside the else statement are run. In this case, that is the clear function that wipes any color off the LED strip, and the draw function which sends that clear command to the LED strip. Because there's no delay between these 2 functions, that's going to look like it runs instantly. This closing curly brace ends the else statement, and you can see when I click next to it with my cursor, there's a little box that shows up around this curly brace next to else. That's a tool inside the code editor that helps you match up which curly braces are a pair. You can see as I click next to the if statement closing curly brace, the opening curly brace of the if statement gets a little box around it. So this is helpful as your programs get more complex. You can match up which curly braces so you don't end up with too many or too few, which won't allow the program to run. When the program reaches the closing curly brace of the void loop, it's going to jump back up to line 12 and check the digital read of port 6 again. So let's run through this and look at the 2 ways that this void loop can run, depending on whether the button is pressed. If the digital read 6 equals low, meaning that the button is pressed, then the setPixel function is going to set pixel 0 to a color value of 200 and draw that on the strip. The else statement will be skipped over. It won't be run at all, and the void loop will jump from line 15 back up to 12. If the digital read of 6 is not low, meaning the button is not pressed, the actions of the if statement are skipped over, and the actions in the else statement will run, meaning the clear function and the draw function will wipe any color away from the LED strip. After the else statement is completed, the code is going to see the end of the void loop, and again it's going to jump back to line 12. There are no delays inside this void loop, so the status of port 6 is going to be checked hundreds or thousands of times a second, meaning your button will be very responsive to your touch.